And welcome back. We are live in Las Vegas. I'm your host, David Temple. We're at the Venetian in Vegas, celebrating the 30th anniversary of CEREC. And I got to tell you something. As you can hear, it's a party atmosphere. We've just kicked off 6 o'clock cocktail hour, if that tells you anything. But I'm here with a couple of very handsome, esteemed gentlemen, talking with Kent, Jochen, T-Bone, and Scott, cutting to the chase. And we're talking about sleep apnea and the importance and the relevance of it as it relates to dentistry. So let's just jump in and start talking amongst yourselves.
Well, I would like to start and say that I think the first thing is that our patients need to, dentists need to recognize what the opportunity is with sleep apnea.
Tarun, I'm going to back off on that, okay? The most important thing is it's a massive public health issue. It's a massive public health issue, okay?
And we have all the tools to make it easy to analyze.
Yes.
And we can make it easy to get treated.
Absolutely.
By taking a cone beam image, you can easily diagnose or see a possible constriction in that patient's airway, which gives us a great opportunity to start the dialogue with that patient if they're not aware that they may have sleep apnea.
I think the tool is a great tool. It's a great tool for imaging. It's a great tool for illustrating to the patient what the problem is. We can't really diagnose by it at this point, but that's down the road. That's going to happen at some point, but it's a great tool. It's a great tool.
Yeah. Well, the first step is you got to get the patient to accept or get that conversation started. We can often look at people and say, you can guess who has sleep apnea, and you can guess the snoring. A lot of times it'll be the wives that'll say, hey, my husband's doing this, I'm not sleeping in the same room as them. As a sleep apnea sufferer myself, I think the first thing to recognize is that CPAP failure rate is north of 50%. So we have a great opportunity through oral appliances to help our patients, but the first step is conversation, not necessarily diagnosis, but conversation. And what I've seen with cone beam and imaging before the AIR software was the ability to see the airway space. And now that we have a three-dimensional view and airway volume, that ability to communicate with the patient becomes unbelievable.
Absolutely.
But it's just a start. It's just a start. There's new stuff to come, and it's going to be exciting down the road to see what's coming.
So let's go back to the comment about how software is calibrating the volume of air, just for those who...
So with the software that CEREC has the Galileos has come out with, or CCAT, it basically will evaluate that airway and, in essence, color code the airway and show you where there might be constrictions, meaning an area that's more red and areas that turn more green, or areas where that airway is a lot more open. So just from a visual standpoint, having your patient there look at that image and see their own airway and see the color coding and see, oh my gosh, I see red. They have a better understanding where this conversation is going when we start talking to them about sleep apnea.
And so excuse my ignorance, but
You're excused.
Thank you. Has sleep apnea always been a prevailing concern in dentistry, or is this relative?
It's been around since the start of time. People have not really known about it for the last 20 to 30 years. It's been an age-old problem in the history of human existence.
Okay.
And we've really just now in the last 20 to 30 years really began to put form and meaning to this issue of snoring and obstructive sleep apnea. It's a massive issue, as we said earlier.
So you started out of the gate with the declarative statement of it is a health issue, first and foremost.
Well, being a general dentist, prior to cone beam imaging, our treatment was basically seeing patients that are referred to us for oral appliance therapy.
Right.
And that was kind of the whole scope of our treatment for sleep apnea. We really played a secondary role. With the Galileos and the cone beam imaging, now in our offices, we're kind of able to help co-diagnose issues that they may be completely unaware of and point them in the right direction, have them start that conversation with their primary care physician, get a sleep study done. Good. We can help put them in the right place to help get treatment. Now, after they have that sleep study done, they have the choice of getting a CPAP machine, or they can come full circle, come back around to our offices again, and then we can treat them with an oral appliance therapy to address that sleep apnea.
Well, the really exciting part of what we're going to talk about tomorrow during the presentation is how we can actually fabricate this oral appliance in the properly titrated position. So there's a lot of exciting things going on within this field currently.
Nice.
So the other thing I look at is one of the things we want to do is also evaluate our treatment. So one of the things that the CCAT Air software allows us to do is now we can take a follow-up scan with our patient in their appliance, and we can actually show our patient, hey, listen, when you came to me, this is where we started, and look at where we've got you today. Right. We can see a measurable gain in that airway volume. So there's, from a documentation perspective, and I think one of the things dentists don't understand is that sleep apnea is a medical condition, there's medical reimbursement for it. I would gather that 50% of our patients suffer from it. Wow. So the opportunity is massive. And we know that north of 50% of patients fail CPAP therapy. So I don't understand why more dentists aren't in it, and this type of diagnostic tool will give us that opportunity to diagnose and set ourselves above and beyond other dentists.
And especially because now with all the equipment that the dentist gets, it's easy to do. Yeah. It's just straightforward. You know, it's all there. Like you don't even need to take a real impression. You just take an optical impression. Yeah. So which the impression always had been a big issue. Absolutely. Now it's not a big issue anymore. Yeah, and it's a fully digital process.
Yeah, so you can actually take your CEREC optical image, your cone beam data, titrate the right location, and then have your appliance fabricated based on that data.
You're done.
I honestly, instead of having to guess, using a George gauge or something where that place should be.
No guessing.
Now we can have a diagnostic position
of determining. There is some other technology involved. We'll talk about that tomorrow. So stay tuned. Yep. But very important technology from what's out there. But stay tuned tomorrow. We'll talk about it.
Maybe is that a good stopping point, or how about closing comments? Or
I mean, as a dentist, one of our biggest roles is to educate our patients.
Right.
And I think having the cone beam imaging and the CCAT software to be able to help show them what's going on and educate our patients.
With CEREC as well. CEREC. CEREC plays a key role here.
It's bringing the awareness up to our patients. I mean, they come to us for dentistry, and having us to be able to offer a whole nother service with regards to their health, I think helps lift up the profession and at the same time helps our patients have better lives.
That is amazing, and it makes me think of this one question that we've talked about earlier, right, T-Bone, is we think about where we've come in 30 years so far, and especially with something as complex as sleep apnea, what are your predictions or feelings or intuitions of what the next 10, 20, 30 years could be? I mean...
We're going to be able to predict who's going to respond to therapy based upon a wakefulness cone beam CT scan. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but we're going to be there very soon. We're going to be able to see a patient. They're going to walk in. We're going to scan them twice. We're going to know who's going to respond to therapy based upon those two scans.
Absolutely. He's
and one
100%
of the
correct.
Nice things as these technologies merge together is with the function service, we'll be able to know if we open the patient, if we move their bite, how that's going to affect the jaw, how that's going to affect the joint position. I mean, at the end of the day, we're getting to become a virtual patient. I mean, our patients aren't even real now. Yeah. We're digitizing them.
The quality of the appliances will become so much better, and they will take care for the condyles at the same time. So you don't run into the problem that you treat sleep apnea but create condyle problems. No, it's all taking into account.
Yeah. So amazing.
It is amazing.
Amazing. Guys, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Get out there and enjoy yourself tonight. Unless you're going to stick around like you're going to still be with us for a while.
I'll be around.
All right, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be back with more live from Las Vegas at the 30th anniversary celebration for CEREC.